Hello and welcome to another Centennial episode of We Only Look Thin. I am one of your hosts. My name is Donald Weigel. I have lost about 100 pounds. I've kept it off for about, 6 years? 7 years? I don't even remember anymore. And with me, as always, is...
Time is a flat circle. It is Catherine Weigel. Hi, it's Catherine Weigel. Sorry. Okay. It's been a minute since we've podcasted. Hi, it's Catherine Weigel. I'm a Tiny Habit certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I've lost over 100 pounds, kept it off for over 6 or 7 years, and have been podcasting, I think, for 8 years.
Yeah, I think almost
8 years. It'll be 8 years in January.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. When you said
Quadricentennial,
it sound like I just imagined a fife player.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like the...
And I've got a surprise for you. I've hired a fife player.
A fife player. I don't know. It just seems like a very like... Like maybe there are some medieval podcasts.
I could put in like fife sound effects over this, I guess,
sure.
in post.
I don't know. Like America is a fairly young country.
Yeah.
It's the young Turk
of
countries. But
sure.
Like when in Los Angeles... you see a building that might be as old as 60 years old.
Yeah.
Right? But then you go to like Prague and it's like, oh, well, this was from the 500s.
Hundreds of years old or Munich or something.
There aren't ancient podcasts, are there? Have they found any ancient podcasts anywhere?
I don't think that they have found any. Maybe
uncovered.
Maybe there are some time capsules that they're about to dig up from 100 years ago that will contain the early podcast.
I wonder if they are as annoying as ours is.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. What was the first podcast you ever listened to?
I think it was something from NPR that I downloaded.
Oh, like Fresh Air, or
something
This American
like that,
Life or something.
Which I don't know if that 100% counts because I think it was really just like a radio show that I could download later.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure that it counts. I'm going to say what you just said is invalid. No, but like it was sort of the same thing. I was like, oh,
so you're invalidating.
So
everything
I can
I've
just
said.
listen to it not live. Was sort of it was almost like a VHS recording more than its own thing. I think for me, my first podcast. Sorry to invalidate you. I should have yes-anded you.
I'm used to it.
I think my first podcast was the Mark Maron Show, actually.
The first one was Mark Maron?
Yeah.
Oh,
I wasn't like, I didn't really understand what a podcast was. Like, I didn't even know what electricity was. I'm not an early adopter of things. I'm usually like at the end, I'm like, okay, I'll try it once I found out it's like a non-carcinogen or something.
My dad he's not now. Not anymore, but when I was growing up, he was oddly like an early adopter-ish, like depending on whether he had the money for it or not. Like we were one of the first people I knew that had a VHS player.
Huh.
And we were one of the first people I knew that had cable television.
Really?
When I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, of course, when we got cable television, it was, boy, I'm really getting off on a tangent now. It was because we lived in a part of Pennsylvania which had terrible signal. Like you couldn't really get good TV. So the cable wasn't to get a lot of channels. It was just so you could get TV.
Interesting. And then you used all that, all the right move hot dog money to,
That's right.
to pay for it. Yeah.
That's
my dad was definitely like, we were a Laserdisc family.
Oh yeah.
We were an RCA disc family.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good
stuff.
Heavy
Technology.
But anyway, hello. This is our 400th episode.
Right,
that's kind of what we're building up to. And look, hey, it's our podcast. It's our 400th episode, so you get the story about me getting cable when I was a kid.
I don't know. I think it's funny. Like sometimes we'll like go out to dinner just because usually we're doing something or whatever. We'll go out to dinner and then I'll be like, boy, salt is interesting, isn't it? Like, I can't think of anything to say. And then suddenly I'm like, tell me more about your cable opportunities in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if we've still thought of anything interesting to say, even now as we're doing this. But this is our 400th episode.
Whoa.
And when we started this, I don't know that
it was our first episode.
It was our first episode. That's right.
We started with our first episode.
That would be one. We started with one episode, and then we did another one, and that was two. And I'm just going to keep counting all the way through.
Do you know what our podcast and our wedding have in common?
Oh, we were there at both of them?
We were there at both of them. I'm not sure that I have ever gone back and listened to any of our old episodes, and I have never watched our wedding video.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't need to do that. I don't know why. I'm just like, it's fine.
We should. I feel like we watched our wedding video.
We watched it like
at
a
least
week
once.
after it's been.
It's true. I haven't watched it like probably is it even still playable, I wonder?
Well, I think, okay, this has to do with the podcast, everybody. I think it can be scary to go back. Just like it didn't go well when I read my high school journals. I thought I was, Emily Bronte. And looking back, I was an old soul. And looking back,
old soul.
Looking back, it's so terrible how, anyway, it was very, very not.
I know. At the time,
as advanced as I thought I was.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying, though. I have a feeling I haven't listened to our early episodes in a very long time. I have a feeling that I would not be 100% thrilled with them.
Well, and I think as we're getting toward what we're going to tell you about. We have hit our 400th episode, we asked listeners, members of WOLT Place, We Only Look Thin Place, to ask us some questions. Let them do the heavy lifting to ask us questions about ourselves and our podcast. And so this sort of ties into it, of sort of a retrospective of our 400.
Yeah, we got a lot of great questions. So I think we're going to do some of them in this episode and answer some more on the next episode.
Yeah, and thank you so much. If you're listening to this, you're hearing what we're saying, and we appreciate it. And if you were there at the very beginning, you have seen an evolution of our sound quality. And I just want to pause for a moment and give some claps. Do people give claps, props?
Sure.
Claps and props to Donald Weigel for being the electricity behind the show, because if not, it would just be me sitting in my living room. So,
well, thank you very much. I just want to wonder, though. I know that there are people who are hearing this right now.
Yes.
But are they listening?
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. No, we would not have a podcast without Donald. I have been willfully ignorant to learn anything about how to produce a podcast. So, so thank you to Donald for making this possible.
Well, you are quite welcome. And if we're going to be honest here, Catherine comes up with I don't know what the percentage would be, but let's just say most of the content, and then I ride her coattails through the episode.
Well, I'm bossy and he's electricity, so
she's a little bit bossy.
Electricity.
He's a little bit.
So we're gonna answer some questions, and we might we have so many questions, we might make this a twofer.
Well, we're making it a twofer.
I was just trying to be like, oh gosh, we had no idea. Okay, so Donald's going to start us off, aren't you, Donald?
I guess I am. So the very first question is from Kate, and Kate asks, "Has it been worth the effort?"
Woo! Okay.
So we're going to speak for the next 2 hours on whether it's been worth the effort.
Ooh, I've always heard that you should make people think about themselves when they hear things asked.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you, dear listeners, about yourselves also. Like, just think about it as if someone is asking you this question too. So
sure, let's do that.
Okay, so has it been worth it? Define it, please. Use it in a sentence. I guess it means the podcast or the weight loss?
I'm taking it as the weight loss.
Oh yeah. No, it has definitely been worth putting in the effort in this joint venture. It has been, I think, life-changing in a lot of ways. We've got some questions that are kind of similar, so maybe I'll bury some of it, but for later. But making this investment in changing my mindset and the way I kind of look at my responsibility for myself, I think has totally been worth the effort.
Well, yeah, and look, the short answer is yes, it has been worth the effort, and I know that it is difficult. still. It is difficult. And maybe this is a bit of a downer, but it is difficult all the time. But I am so much better off in so many ways from putting in the effort to, look, I'm never going to be a model. I'm never going to be comfortable walking around shirtless on a beach or at a pool. That's just not where I am, but I am comfortable walking up a flight of stairs and carrying my groceries from my car, and I have confidence that I can grow and change and learn things. And so putting in the work, it's seeped into other areas of my life where I know that I can do things if I really choose to prioritize them and make them important.
I think that really is the biggest shift, is sort of recognizing the process behind making change and taking responsibility and sort of having that growth mindset yet. So Kate, thank you for your question. It has been worth it.
Yes, it has been worth it.
It has. Okay. Question number 2. What is the hardest lesson each of you has learned during this endeavor? I am making Donald answer first so I can ride his answer coattails. Okay. What's the hardest lesson, man?
I think the hardest lesson for me, and I can't remember when we started talking about that, but it's that I'm not fixed. And I don't know that I'll ever be fixed. There isn't a point where I've gotten to where I've said to myself, oh, it's all so easy now, and it just all comes naturally. And what I have done is put systems in place so that I don't go all the way back to where I was at my heaviest weight. But, I go through roller coasters. I go ups and downs, and I have, I'm under no illusion that the person who, gained all that weight in the first place is still me. And all of the habits that I had to get me there are still inside me, and I'm still capable of all of that. And so I have to be constantly vigilant and sort of watch myself. And so, I used to think that, thin people would get to a certain point, or you'd lose a certain amount of weight, and then it'd just be like, oh, well, it's done. It's, you're fixed. It's over. You're happy. And that's, not the case, and it's never going to be the case. And I think that is, for me, the hardest lesson.
You bring up a very good point about being fixed, Donald, because sorry.
Why do you say it like that?
I have looked at the word fixed in 2 different ways. Fixed being cured, and then fixed being set in a specific set of habits and sort of processes. I think our lives have changed so much in the last 8 years that I think something that I guess the hardest lesson is that every time a season changes in our lives, I think for me, how I approach what I'm doing changes. And I think it's that I feel like I'm trying to wrangle a marlin all the time. I feel like the old man in the sea. It is a constant vigilant effort, like you said.
Yeah,
I think that is I wish, and maybe from the surface, there are some people out there who are like, and now this is just the way I am. I feel like that the hardest lesson is that it's never a breeze for me, and staying present in it is still just, something that I have to work on. I know my brother and his wife sailed, literally, this isn't metaphorical, they literally on a sailboat sailed from Tahiti to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I asked how it was, aside from terrifying.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law said that on the boat, you just always have to have your core engaged because you're always sailing, and you're never there was never just we're lying down and getting a suntan. It was just this constant tension. And I think the hardest thing for me is that tension of I don't really feel like I can let my guard down on my habits because it is so easy with one little shift of season to slip into old behaviors. And again, I know maybe that isn't super inspirational, but I think it is the truth. So
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think you can handle that. Truth.
No, I think it's a good analogy, and I would like to metaphorically sail from Tahiti to.
Not me, man. I want to be sailed.
You want someone else to sail you? I'm saying metaphorically, I want to do it. Okay, so I don't know if you said that last question was from Mary. So thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
For asking. The next question comes from Ashley, and Ashley asks, how did you and Donald meet?
So I'm going to answer this.
You're going to answer this.
Yes.
How did we meet?
I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. Sorry.
That much is true.
That much is true. Don't you WOLT me, baby.
Oh my goodness. We need to write. Don't you WOLT me, baby. We need to write that down.
Maybe a Valentine's episode or something. Okay. Donald was working as a produce manager in a health food store.
That's right.
That much is true.
That much is true.
In
Princeton, New Jersey.
In Princeton, New Jersey, I used to go into the health food store with my dirtbag boyfriend of the time for lunch.
I didn't call him a dirtbag.
He was a dirtbag. We used to go in for lunch, and Donald was there, and Donald was delightful and cheerful and kind, and I was not interested in that. He had...
Wait, as a side note, when she found out my parents were still married, she thought there was something wrong with me.
It's like, what? Your parents are married?
How is that? That's not a thing.
I remember
people's parents don't stay married.
You were like, I'm going to Disney World with my family. And I was like, are you a robot? Like, who...
Yeah.
The
funny thing too, I also was like sort of goth punk kind of, and like a really cheerfully. Like suburban version of it. So I'm like in all black and like listening to, very dark music,
black nail polish,
but also like looking forward to going to Disney World with my family.
Yeah, I think for me, I was from a broken home.
Yes.
This latchkey kid found a...
That's right. I had to lift her up from her squalor. Emotional squalor.
Yeah.
Well, emotional squalor is a good name for a band.
That is good.
Yeah.
No, I was not used to someone who was just happy and focused and from a loving family. And I think that sharp contrast from my frickin' dirtbag boyfriend was it took me a while to kind of get comfortable with the idea that sorry, now I'm going to get all teary-eyed. Man, this is big and emotional.
It has a happy ending, though.
It does have a happy ending.
We got together.
We did get together. I was so used to trying to fit myself into someone else's life and kind of, going with their flow and kind of pretending that I liked like Stevie Ray Vaughan and I don't know, whatever. Like just like, sure, I love.
That's the worst part. Pretending you like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
No, but in honesty, the guy that I was living with and dating like didn't want me to go to college because
you were 18 at the time. By the way,
I was 18.
Yeah, by the way, we were very young.
He didn't want me to go to college. He thought that like real people educated themselves, and I was I was in a very unhealthy relationship. And I think Donald was just the absolute opposite of like just being encouraging and kind. And it took a while for me to recognize that as normal and healthy. And like, I didn't have, like, he wasn't he didn't need to be fixed. I didn't have to be someone else. So Donald was my very best friend. We could do a whole...
Boy, you went very deep on that. I was expecting a light story about how I put oranges aside from you for you at the health food store.
He did. We were friends. We would see each other at rock and or roll concerts.
Yeah, that's true. There was a club in Trenton, New Jersey that had cool bands.
So we would kind of see each other there, and so there's a much longer story. But
this was the very early 1990s.
Yeah, it was. But so that's how we met, and then it was when Donald went away to California to pan for gold.
The great gold rush of 1994.
Donald went to California to go to grad school. He came back for the summer, and he actually went to Disney World again with his family and gave a souvenir to a young woman who seemed happy to see him. And I became acutely and angrily jealous and realized that I was in love with him because I didn't want him to hug other lady friends. So that is the long, short story. So that was my answer.
I don't know. She used to come into this health food store where I worked, and I thought she was foxy, and so I started chatting her up.
So that's
my version of the story.
Yeah, so that's how we met. But I feel like every day I meet a new man. I would not suggest to any 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds to decide who they're going to marry.
We were way too young.
Married. It worked out.
It worked out, but I would not recommend it.
No. Have you met 20-year-olds?
Yeah.
We have a 20-year-old. I would not trust her to...
Oh my goodness. I don't trust her to make, decisions about
toast
lunch.
when we're not home.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was very long. Anyway, there's more, but thank you for loving me through all that.
Thank you for loving me.
So, sorry about that.
And we've been married for 27 years.
We have.
All right. Okay. Next question.
That was my question.
From Lori.
Lori, I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
Okay. This question comes from Lori. I'm sorry. I feel like people are going to be like, Donald, maybe you should find a nicer wife in there somewhere. Okay.
There is no nicer wife.
If you could do anything differently from the beginning, what would it be regarding your weight loss journey venture?
So, I actually have a hard time answering this one with anything specific, but I think I would like to have been kinder to myself. Even on this, I'm calling it this journey venture. I had a real tendency to beat myself up a lot when I would when I would set my intentions to eat a certain way at a certain, at a dinner out or at a friend's house or over holidays, and it wouldn't go the way I had originally intended. I would really kind of beat myself up. So entering it with much more kindness to myself and realizing that those things are going to happen, and if I constantly beat myself up over it, it's not really going to accomplish anything, but that the right move to make is to just get right back on the horse, so to speak, and start from where I am and keep going, and not live with that shame and regret and pile it on to myself. I think that's what I would do differently from the beginning. I think it took me a long time to kind of learn to do that.
Wow, that is much more introspective than I think I was going with. But I think I do recognize, I think that you were very hard on yourself at first. That whole, I was proud of him when he lost 5 pounds, and he was like, don't be proud of me yet. And I think letting go of that, happiness and pride is in the future at a certain time when I deserve it, instead of that kindness now, I think was a big shift.
Well, and I think part of that was I had lost weight before and I had never kept it off. And so I had set a goal of losing 50 pounds or whatever, and I would lose 20 and then gain back 30 or 40. And so I think that I do that whole "don't be proud of me yet" thing was more well, I haven't actually done anything yet. But really celebrating those accomplishments of like losing half a pound, losing 1 pound, losing 5 pounds. Like that's really important as you go, and to really, love yourself as you go and be kind rather than beating yourself up.
Than a jerk baloney.
Yeah.
I like it. So my answer is maybe a little bit more practical. When I started this in January 2016, I think is when I kind of had this, or when I started this joint venture, which I didn't even know was a joint venture.
That's right. That phrase hadn't even been invented yet.
But when I started this in January 2016, I wish I had started from the very beginning, just really chronicling and journaling about what I was doing and what I was feeling. I didn't take photos of myself.
Oh, that's a really good one. I wish I had taken more photos of myself at my heaviest, and because I just didn't want to see the photos. But in hindsight, I wish I had. Like, I think even the photo on our website, I think I had already lost like 15 pounds at that point.
Yeah.
And that was when I started to be like, okay, now I can have pictures taken of myself.
Yeah. I think our heaviest photos were not what we ended up using. So maybe we should switch that out a little bit. But I think because I was so nervous about even saying like, this time is it, because I had said that in the past, like, now I'm really going to make a change. I didn't know that I was really going to make a change when I was just like week by week, like, let me see what I can do this week. But I wish I had written down through this entire 8 years, honestly, I guess 9 years since I started losing weight. I wish I had taken measurements, taken photos, written down like exactly what was going on, what habits I had in place, because all these years later, it's like I remember it vaguely. Like I remember, what I was doing, but I feel like having a really vivid snapshot of every single stage every month.
That's a really good answer.
Like, you know how they have those, which is a delight that people do, with kids. I'm saying this nicely. They put up those little like chalkboard signs of like, this is my first day of first grade and my favorite food is pizza and my favorite movie is whatever.
I look, it's corny as heck, but I think that in hindsight, it'd be nice to have more of that.
Well, but I think,
and I know what you're saying too.
As you're going through this, I think even what we did well 6 years ago is kind of vague now. Like the actual, it's like having a recipe. It evolves over time, but then you kind of lose the original recipe and you're like, wait, what did I do? Like, how did that go? So I think if I were to do this over, and I guess I could just start today, if it made any difference, it was really like, what am I eating? What am I drinking? When am I going to bed? Like, what mindset things am I working on? What, like just really painting a little picture of each stage, I think would have been helpful, because when you're doing really well, it feels like it's going to last forever. And you're like, I don't need to write it down. I know what's going on.
Well, and I think your recipe analogy is a good one. Like, there are things that I used to make all the time, and I didn't even have to look at the recipe. And now I'll sometimes try and go back and make them, and it's like I forget entirely like how I used to do it, like what did I used to stir this in now? That I if I don't have it like really detailed written down, then I can't remember.
Well, and I've also thrown out literal recipes because I'm like, I'll never forget how to make a smoothie.
Yeah.
So I think that writing things down with specificity when things are going well is a great roadmap back when you're struggling to sort of remember where you were. So for me, it would just be that sort of writing things down. I tend to keep a lot in my head, or I do take a lot of photos, but I think I would like to have a map backward. I think so. So if you're listening to this, which you are, congratulations. write things down. Just take, even if it's once a month, write down all the basics. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Like, how are you getting in activity this season? What are you doing in the summer versus in the winter? What is challenging for you? What's easy for you? Because I wish I had that to go back to. So maybe I could do a whole episode on that, but.
Okay, and then the next question is really two questions, and they're both kind of similar. Stephanie writes, what do you wish you had learned or realized sooner? Which I guess we sort of also just answered that. And then Dana writes in and says, when you think back to your first episode or episodes, what do you know now that you didn't know then? So, look, we could do episodes and episodes about that, and I think that we have, but my quick answer to that, or quick-ish answer to that, is that I wish I had learned sooner to not be in such a hurry and to really look at the long term and the long goal. I don't think that I had really thought about it enough. Even when we started this podcast, I don't think I had started about, looking at it enough. And I see people all the time on Reddit, or they talk to us all the time, who are like, I'm just not losing weight fast enough. I'm just not losing weight fast enough. Well, guess what? Like, it's going to be your whole life. And, realizing that sooner, I think would have really helped me develop the long-term perspective sooner and realize, like, it's going to ebb and flow. There's no race to get to a certain weight. And I know it can feel like that. And I know it can feel like, well, if I would just get to that weight, then I would be happy and then I would be done and I could move on. But really developing that long-term goal and, realizing losing half a pound a week is a whole lot better than trying to lose, 10 pounds in a hurry and then it not being fast enough and giving up, entirely and then gaining weight over that same period of time. I think that's the thing I wish I had learned much sooner. That's the main thing.
Excellent. But again, it's interesting that we have so many different answers, isn't it, Donald?
It is
interesting. For me, and there are more questions that we're going to answer in another episode about kind of what opinions we might have that are different now than when we started. But looking back at the beginning, I think there's always that in any new endeavor. I can't remember the term, but there's like the zeitgeist of the newly reformed or the new, evangelist of a certain.
Yeah, it's the, there's, oh my goodness, now I'm forgetting the phrase. It's something like there's nobody more strict than the newly converted or something like that. That's not the right phrase, but it's something close.
But I felt like I needed to spread the gospel of the good word of,
yeah. Well, it's like when someone first becomes a vegan, well, maybe that never stops for vegans.
Just letting you know, we have both been vegan in the past, so.
But it's like, look, I've been a vegetarian for 40 years or something, 35 years. But when you first become a vegetarian, the instinct is to just preach to everybody, you have to do it. And then after a while, you're like, well, all right, people do what they do.
So I think the problem with living, I'll just the broad
the problem with living is being alive, is
that until you've gone through something, it doesn't. You can intellectualize anything, but until it has happened, you don't really appreciate the changes in life. I think when I started this journey venture, I was 40. I had a full-time corporate job. We had a daughter in 5th grade. It was pre-pandemic. And I know we have done episodes, or we did one episode in particular called Winter is Coming. And it's sort of like something is going to get in the way of your journey venture. We don't know exactly what it is, but we like that sort of preparing for the unknown. I think has hit me harder. The unknown has hit me harder than I imagined it would.
Yeah.
Like, and again, at the beginning, it's like, oh, I've lost the weight. Everyone join me. Ha ha ha. Like, not that we didn't have good ideas at the time, but it was like when new life challenges come, whether it's injury or family struggles, or someone in your family passes away, or job loss, or the big one for me has been perimenopause. Like I was like, oh yeah, menopause, that happens to people. But I knew it, but until you go through it, you're like, oh dang.
Yeah,
so whether it's a move to a new city, or a relationship breaking up, or some life event that kind of throws you off course, I think that's where I feel like I'm trying to reel in a marlin. I feel like I think that sensitivity to like things are gonna get challenging. I think for me, at the beginning, and even when, we would go on, 4 or 5 mile walks on the weekend, like, and I remember saying like, I don't imagine a day that I will never not do this. It was just sort of this how could I ever stop?
Yeah. You get into this zone where you just feel like, well, I'm going to do this forever, but nothing lasts forever.
And so I think we've become more sensitive to seasons of life as the podcast has gone on. But I think for me, that like being really grateful for the good seasons and really recognizing that like challenges are going to come up. And I think maybe that's where the kindness comes in, of like, be kind to yourself when things are challenging. Sometimes we pause our goals. Sometimes our focus changes a little bit, and it's okay. So I think it's just that, maybe that kindness, and not thinking that it's always going to be summer and everything's going to be perfect. I think recognizing that like you should value it when it's good, but also adapt when things are challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and I think we're going to wrap it up, but just quickly, a practical one thing I wish I had known then. I think that I have learned, and I'm still working on this, that as we age, that some sort of strength training is super important and crucial. It is so much harder to burn calories as we age, but I think the key to continuing to do that is to maintain muscle and to keep working on that in some fashion or other. That
was going to be one of my answers for if you could do anything differently from the beginning. I don't think I realized how critical strength training is. I guess that ties into kind of the perimenopause thing. A couple of people asked us about perimenopause questions. With Donald is the recipient of my perimenopause symptoms. Dry mouth, husband who cringes at my appearance.
I do not.
No. But anyway, that strength training thing, I think is, I didn't realize how much my body was going to decompose as I aged.
Yeah, so. Decompose. Exactly. Okay, so last question.
Oh, I'm going to ask it. Okay. So Lori had also sort of asked that question about what would you do differently. She asked regarding our weight loss, but then she also sort of said, but I guess about, podcasting too. What would we do differently? And I think that when we started the podcast, we just were like, we're going to podcast every week. Like, okay, let's go. And we have done that for almost 8 years.
Yeah. We have not missed a week.
Never missed a week. We never planned a break ever, which I think, again, not knowing that it was going to go on for 400, it was like, well, we started weekly, so we're just going to keep going. And
with life going on, we go out of town, or we have people come to town, or just, things to do on the weekend. And, this is, I have a full-time job on top of this, and, doing this week after week, I wish we had planned a little more. We oftentimes have to sort of bank, 2, 3, 4 episodes in advance so that we don't have to record every single weekend. And I think that we should have probably thought more about building breaks into this as we went along.
Yeah, and maybe that's an analogy for weight loss as well. I mean, trying to be at a deficit. Can you, for like doing, has anyone else done anything for 8 years, every single week, without fail, without a break, without anything? And I think it would have been kinder to ourselves if we had built in like, oh, we're going to take, like, I know some podcasts are like, I'm taking the summer off, or we're going to take a break during, Christmas, New Year's. And we hadn't done that because we hadn't built it into our plan. And I think in terms of looking at the ability to create content, the ability to take care of ourselves. And we'll talk more about this on the next episode of sort of managing our own weight loss journey ventures and our own personal lives and doing the podcast. I think entering into the next 400 with kindness means that we have to, or we have the opportunity to sort of say, how are we going to make this sustainable for ourselves? So I think with the 400th episode, it was an opportunity for us to sort of look at the months to come and sort of retool things. So we have decided that for the foreseeable future, we are going to move to a bi-weekly format. That means skipping every other week.
Yeah, so we're going to, we're going to keep doing it. We don't have any plans to not keep doing it, but we are, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of break, show ourselves some kindness, and we're still, so far at least, leaving all of the episodes available on YouTube and on our website, but we are going to go to an every other week schedule.
Yeah, and hopefully it will give us the opportunity to create content that is meaningful and that we feel energized about. And we appreciate everyone being on this journey venture with us. I think Donald said we just hit 2 million.
Yeah, we just hit 2 million total downloads.
Wow.
For the course of the whole run of the series.
Yeah, and I think, on the honest side of this, I think change in anything can be scary. It's sort of like, I don't want to disappoint anyone. We've already set up this, weekly format. And so we're entering into this with some trepidation because we want to make sure that we're satisfying our audience. But I think for us as actual real human people who want to take care of themselves, I think it's important for us to honor our own boundaries. So we're moving to every other week. Hopefully we'll put out a notice somewhere to let people know that we're doing it. But as I have told a couple of people in WOLT Place about it already, the support of like, we love you, we want to be there for you, like do what you need to do has been really helpful. So we appreciate in advance your understanding as we kind of make sure that we can keep this going in a meaningful way without getting burnt out.
Yes, indeed. And so thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. And if you would like more of us, there are 399 other episodes out there in the world. The most recent 300 are available on all of the major podcast platforms, wherever you found this one. And like we said, you can go all the way back to episode 1 at any time on YouTube or on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about WOLT Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group. But beyond Facebook, if that is cringe, as the kids say, I also do weekly Zoom meetings that are deep dives into issues on our weight loss journey ventures. I also have started doing Zoom off the record, which is unrecorded meetings where members can just chill out and hang out and ask questions. So it's sort of a private forum to really, dive deep into weight loss issues, mindset. On the last Off the Record, we talked about the impact of The Biggest Loser on sort of our mindsets and how we view weight loss. So check us out. We've got 2 subscription options: a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if WOLT Place is right for you. So check us out.
Yeah, please check it out. And I really think that the value of those Zoom meetings cannot be overstated. I mean, it is virtually, in 2 meanings of the word virtually, one-on-one coaching with Catherine Weigel, who is certified in about 87 ways. And, I couldn't do this without her. And so I think having the opportunity to, look her directly in the eyeballs.
You make it sound like I'm going to look you in the eyeballs. Stare down.
That's right. Over the internet, I think is a truly valuable and wonderful tool at your disposal if you join WOLT Place. Also, if you'd like to interact with us in other ways, we are on the socials, as the kids say. The kids say cringe and the socials, I believe. And we are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin. Or you can email us if you have more questions for us. We've got another episode of answering questions ahead. But you can also send your questions to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We've turned a lot of listener questions into episodes of the show. Or if you just want to know what kind of sneakers we wear or something like that, it's easy to reach out. Or if you just want to say hi and give us a compliment, we'd like to hear from you. You can do that to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Did you know you Android kids can actually download the Apple Podcast app on your very Android phones?
This is a really weird thing to admit, but I did not know that they had an Apple Podcast app for Android until very recently.
So leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we are doing after 400 episodes, countless hundreds of hours of podcasting and Donald editing and content creation. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing matters to you, but it also helps other people find our podcast. So take an extra minute and I was going to say, let your fingers do the walking in a phone book. Reach out and touch someone.
In the yellow pages.
Where's
for
the
some
beef?
Reason. That's right. That's right. You finally found it. Anyway, also, another thing that would really help us out is just to tell somebody about the show. If you're in a conversation and it comes up, or if you know somebody who you haven't talked to in a while, you can reach out and touch them and tell them about our show. Or if you're in an online group, a Discord server, a subreddit, or
snack chat,
a Facebook group, and it makes sense to give us a shout out. It really does help the show grow.
It sure does. So if you're still not sure if we met because I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar or because Donald handed me citrus products in a health food store, just remember
why can't it be both?
Donald and I are an
inspiration. Handed you citrus products.
They were navel oranges. Remember, shocking.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.